This is the brand new Apple Watch Series 3. And this is actually a really big deal because it's Apple's first Apple Watch that can be used entirely without your iPhone. So it comes with LTE, so cellular connectivity, and you can use it anywhere you wish. Sounds cool, right? Now, I've been using my Apple Watch Series 3 for the past 2+ weeks now, and this is my full in-depth review of the new 2017 Apple Watch, covering everything you need to know from the design, display, performance, all new features, battery life, cellular connectivity, and so much more. So grab some popcorn and enjoy. Okay, so interesting enough, even though this is called the Apple Watch Series 3, it's not Apple's 3rd generation Apple Watch, but Apple's 4th generation Apple Watch actually. So the first one was just called Apple Watch and was announced in 2014 and then released in 2015. Then in 2016, Apple released 2 models, the Series 1 and the Series 2, and now in 2017 we have the Series 3. Now, the Series 3 actually comes in 2 models. So there's a GPS only model and a GPS plus cellular model, which is the one that I'm going to review in this video. Now, in my opinion, every new product from every company should come with 3 major changes from the previous model. The first one should be design changes. Obviously, everyone wants a fresh design with each new generation. Now, the second one should be performance improvements. So the new model should obviously be faster than the previous one. And then number 3 should be new features. Obviously, the new model, everyone wants new features, and it should come with quite a lot of new features from the previous generation. So these are the 3 main chapters that I'm going to cover in this review. And by the way, if you enjoyed this video, definitely feel free to subscribe and enable notifications for more detailed tech reviews like this one. Okay, so starting off with number 1, we have 5 main design changes with the Apple Watch Series 3. So even though the Series 3 looks almost identical to the Series 2 and the Series 1, and the original Apple Watch from back in 2015, there are actually 5 minor design changes in this model. So the first one would be the red crown. Now, we only get this with GPS plus cellular models of the Series 3, so not the GPS only models. And the whole purpose of this is to distinguish the models from the other ones. And that's it. There's no functionality reason behind this red crown. Now, some people like it, some don't. I personally don't. I think it limits the use of certain watch bands, like the green ones or even the blue ones. If you mainly use black or white bands, then this would actually look pretty nice. But otherwise, it would obviously depend on the band. Now, the second design change is that you can only get the stainless steel model or the Apple Watch Edition with the cellular models, which are a bit more expensive than last year. So if you just want to get the regular GPS only model, that one only comes in aluminum. And the third design change is the thickness. So even though the case of the watch has remained the same, the sensor bar on the bottom is actually thicker now. So Apple says that it's about 2 sheets of paper thicker, but honestly, they were using some, pretty thick sheets of paper to measure this. So it is thicker. You won't notice this on your wrist, by the way, but from a design perspective, the Apple Watch should be getting thinner, not thicker, especially since it's already a fairly thick wearable. Then number 4, the fourth design change is this new watch face. So it's called the Explorer watch face, and this is, by the way, exclusive to the LTE Apple Watch Series 3, so you don't have this on other Apple Watch models. It's very similar in design to the utility watch face. It's a bit thicker when it comes to the font, and of course that you can customize this further to your liking. You can change the colors and add complications and so on. And then finally, number 5, the 5th design change. Even though this one applies to pretty much all Apple Watch models, we do get a few new bands. So we get a new band called Sport Loop, which I actually really love. You get this when you buy a new Series 3 Apple Watch. You have the option to get it with this band. It's actually made from the same nylon as the woven nylon band. It's actually one of the most comfortable Apple Watch bands that I've ever used. It's right on par with the leather ones, and it's also incredibly light, and it's also water resistant. Then we also get some brand new colors for the existing watch bands, but the Sport Loop itself is definitely a welcome change. Okay, so that was the design. A few changes, but nothing that significant. So what about the performance? Well, the Apple Watch Series 3 actually comes with a brand new Apple S3 processor, which is about 70% faster than the S2, which was inside the Apple Watch Series 2. And that one was already 50% faster than the S1, which was inside the Apple Watch series, the original Apple Watch. And the performance improvements are indeed quite noticeable. So apps do launch faster when compared to the Series 2. I would definitely say that the biggest difference is when it comes to third-party apps. So any app that wasn't made by Apple launches quite a bit quicker on the Series 3. Now, Siri is also quicker when it comes to responding, and same applies to HomeKit. So when you want to turn on or turn off your smart home accessories, the Series 3 is quite a bit quicker than Series 2 at doing this. And then when you swipe through different watch faces, this one feels so much more fluid now. And there was quite a bit of lag on the Series 2, and then on the original Apple Watch, this one was even worse. But yes, performance-wise, you will definitely notice some difference. Now, moving on to the special features, we get quite a few new features with the Series 3. 5 new features to be precise. Okay, so the first one is actually Siri. So Siri can now talk back. Previously with the Series 2, Series 1, and the Series 0, when you asked her a question, Siri only displayed the results on the display, but now she can actually talk back to you.
If 20 duck-sized horses chase a horse-sized duck, what time is it? 20 after 1.
Now, this may seem like a pretty big improvement, but it's not really, since you still have to raise your wrist, and then you have to say, "Hey Siri," in order for Siri to activate. I probably activated Siri on your phones. So you're still looking at the display anyways. Oh, Siri. You're still looking at the display anyways. So I guess that, I don't know, in the end it's nice hearing a digital voice now and then, but it's not a big feature because you still have to look anyways. Now, the second new feature is a barometer. Now, this is a new sensor inside the Apple Watch that basically allows the Apple Watch to measure the atmospheric pressure. And with this, you can measure the altitude that you're at. So, for example, if you're climbing on a mountain and you don't have your iPhone with you, your Apple Watch can still measure the elevation and the altitude that you're at. However, some of you might not know, but every single iPhone, ever since the iPhone 6, already has a barometer included. So if you do have your iPhone with you, this feature is pretty much useless. Now, the third new feature is 16 gigabytes of onboard storage, which has now been increased from 8 gigabytes. However, you only get this, by the way, on the GPS Plus LTE model of the Series 3 Apple Watch and not the GPS only model, which still comes with 8 gigabytes of onboard storage. Then number 4, we also get Bluetooth 4.2, up from 4.0, which is what they had on the previous Apple Watch models. And then we also get the Apple Watch W2 chip, so wireless 2 chip from the W1 that we had inside the previous model. So this means that connecting to your AirPods is going to be faster, and syncing apps and updating the Apple Watch through your iPhone is also going to be faster, and also it will consume less battery. And then finally, number 5, we get to the biggest new feature of the Apple Watch Series 3, and that's LTE or cellular support. So here's how it works. When you set up your Apple Watch for the first time, you get this window here, and if your iPhone's carrier supports the Series 3 LTE model, and by the way, these are all the countries and carriers that support it. Now, if you don't see your country or carrier on that list, that's fine, because more would be added soon. But from that window, you can activate LTE on your Apple Watch. And that's pretty much it. The setup process is really quick, and this will cost you about £5 in the UK or $10 per month in the US. Now, from the testing that I've done, it actually works fairly well, but there are a few things that you definitely should consider here. Okay, so first off, LTE will drain your battery like crazy. So if you don't have your iPhone with you and you stream Apple Music, or you have a long phone call, your Apple Watch will die really quickly. So the battery lasts for about 1 hour of continuous talk time, and that's when you don't have your iPhone with you, and up to 4 hours if you're doing an outdoor workout with the Apple Watch. Again, you don't have your iPhone with you and you're using GPS and LTE at the same time. And apart from this, roaming is not supported on the Apple Watch Series 3 with LTE, so you can only use this with LTE in your own country, because it has this thing is really small, so it has limited cellular radios inside. So you can only use it inside the country of purchase. If you go to a different country on a holiday, you'll obviously have to take your iPhone with you. And in the end, I really don't see the point of having an LTE enabled Apple Watch. So here's the thing, if you're a runner and you go running every single day, then yes, this is a great deal because you can leave your iPhone behind at home. But again, that's only useful if you're the kind of runner that makes calls while you're running. Because if you listen to music, I'm not sure how many of you know this, but you can already download and store up to around 6 gigabytes of songs on any Apple Watch model. So you don't need the Apple Watch Series 3 with LTE to listen to Apple Music. The only difference is that with this one, you can actually stream songs directly from Apple Music instead of, listening to just, the songs that you've downloaded. And now let's say that you're not a runner, but you're a hiker. You go on a camping trip or something, and you just want to take your Apple Watch with you and not the iPhone. But maybe you want to take some photos, right? In that case, you would need to take your iPhones because, this one doesn't have a camera. And if you still just take your Apple Watch on a day-long camping trip without your iPhone, the battery won't last you a single day, a full day, especially if you plan on doing workouts using the GPS or using LTE. So the Apple Watch will be dead in a few hours and, you don't have a phone to take photos with. And yes, on top of all this, you have to pay $10 a month or £5 a month for that one time a month convenience. And by the way, some of you might not know this either, but in case you do need an internet connection on your Apple Watch for whatever reason, you can already do this with any Apple Watch model. So any Apple Watch model can automatically connect to known Wi-Fi networks. And boom, you have an internet connection. Okay, so in the end, having said all this, what do I think about the Apple Watch Series 3? Well, I decided to start a ZONEofTECH scoring system for each of my in-depth reviews, and here's how and why the Apple Watch gets the mark that it gets. So for anyone considering the Apple Watch Series 3 as their first Apple Watch, this one is by far the best smartwatch on the market right now. So I'll give it a strong 9.3 out of 10. So here's why. On the plus side, it does come with a fluid and rich user interface. It also comes with a ton of health features. So you have a heart rate monitor that can measure your heartbeat, and then you also have heart rate issue prevention. So if you have any issues with your heart rate, if you have irregularities, the Apple Watch will actually notify you of that. Then you also have lots of fitness apps and workout options. You have lots of customization with the watch faces, and you have a lot of bands to choose from, even third-party bands. And then you have lots of models to choose from, different casing materials, different colors. And then you have lots of apps. This is by far the biggest app store selection for any wearable, the Apple Watch one. Then the battery life is also amazing. So I can easily get through a full day of use with this thing, even 2 days sometimes. And that's if you're not using LTE or GPS. Then it also comes with 50-meter water resistance, which is just crazy, 50 meters water resistance. And then you can also use this obviously in the pool, obviously in the ocean as well. And it also comes with swimming workouts. So, you can track your swimming, you can track your progress. And then on top of all this, it also comes with a really sharp OLED display, which can actually brighten up to 1000 nits of brightness, which is crazy. That's twice as bright as the MacBook Pros or the iMacs. That's in a watch. So that was on the plus side, but what about on the negative side? So we have the same design as in the 2014 announcement. So no changes ever since 2014. Actually, we do get some changes, and that's in terms of the thickness. Every single Apple Watch model was thicker than the previous one. So instead of, the thickness improving, it's actually getting worse because they're getting thicker. And then we still don't have a glucose monitoring or oxygen level meter, which is something that we have on the Samsung Galaxy S8, for example. We have an oxygen level meter on the back. We don't have it on the Apple Watch. Actually, we do, but it's not enabled, by the way. And now for anyone buying this as an upgrade from the Series 2, I'll give it a 5.8 out of 10. So here's why. On the plus side, we get faster performance, but that's the only really useful new feature that it comes with, faster performance. But other than that, we have LTE connection issues, a lot of LTE connectivity issues, connection drops, connects to known Wi-Fi networks instead of using LTE and so on. Then the battery life is really bad when using LTE. Then the price of LTE is not great. You obviously have to pay extra to get LTE. And then the Apple Watch Series 3 with LTE is more expensive than the Series 2 was last year. So if you're upgrading from the Series 2, don't do it. Honestly, it's not worth it. But if you're upgrading from the Series 1 or the Series 0, it's actually worth it. But definitely don't get the Series 3 GPS plus LTE. Only get the Series 3 with GPS only. I've included the link to everything, even the Apple Watch Series 2 in the description. I think the Series 2 is actually a really good deal, and you can even find it pretty cheaply. And other than that, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think of the Series 3? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's not? Do you have one? Maybe you don't have one. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about this thing. Be sure to subscribe for more in-depth reviews like this one, and also enable notifications so that you're notified whenever a new epic video comes out. Feel free to give this a like if you have enjoyed it, to let me know. It took a really long time to make, so every feedback is really appreciated. And other than that, this has been pretty much it. So thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. ZONEofTECH signing out. Cheers.